Hey Paul,
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. Good to see you.
It's a lovely day, I'm just kind of hanging out.
Hanging out in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona.
I always like to think, I don't know much, I know people who know stuff. So, so that, I'm here with you.
It's good to know people who know stuff.
It really is. It can get you far.
It can get you very far.
It really can. Speaking of going far, going places, marketers, let's talk about marketers, Marketers are going places sometimes in the right way and sometimes not necessarily so. There's a lot of movement going on.
Yeah, one of my favorite sayings is transformation happens at the end of your comfort zone. And, while I know there's a lot of tension with marketers today because of the pressures, at the same time, there's incredible opportunity. I think there's amazing opportunity for marketers to come out of the, order taking phase and get into the business development phase. I don't think there's anybody in an organization who's more qualified, who knows more about how and why their clients choose than the teams in the marketing department.
Mm-hmm.
And these are passionate people. These are creative people who have a calling for this work. And I think it's now is the opportunity, as there is tension in the C-suite about marketing and pressure to, as I say, ROMI, return on marketing investment, to step into that and to show their organizations the real inherent value that they bring to driving growth within these companies.
Yeah, I think that really just plays the fact that, so the role of marketer, it's never going to be what it once was. It is transforming day by day, and it's not going back to the media buying, creative only media placements, advertising as the focus. All those parts, those are still parts of the whole, but increasingly smaller and smaller parts of it. And so it's a multifaceted role to begin with, and it starts at the top. It starts with leadership. You've come across a lot of data recently about what it's like to be in your own, with your own experience and with a lot of folks that we both talk to across the country.
Yes.
And just being lifetime marketers ourselves. You've come across some things recently just about what that's like these days. It keeps changing.
Well, they say that up to 80% of CEOs in our country today in a variety of businesses are unhappy with their chief marketing officer. And most of the reasons are related to the marketing teams not understanding the inherent financial realities of the business. Marketing people in many cases are still pitching their budgets instead of talking about investment strategies to drive growth. I've spoke before many people, teams of people, and oftentimes, ask them, what's the expected net revenue for your top 5 service lines, and very few hands go up. We can't be in that position anymore. We've got to go in and say, would you be willing to give me $100,000 to return $500,000, and this is how I'm going to do that. And you're on the technology side very deep of saying that it may not be about advertising or communications, it's about customer acquisition and customer acquisition costs. That's a very different strategy because maybe those traditional mechanisms won't work for that audience, and we've got to think about how do these technologies that are emerging, and some of which were wildly popular and successful 5 years ago, are obsolete today.
They really are. And it just keeps making me think of, not just the fact that this is a moving target, but how to succeed with it. That is a moving target as well. And there are terms that you and I have started using, and others have used too, but just the terms of being an obsolete marketer versus a contemporary marketer. And I think when we start talking about that from the leadership level, from the CMO level, from the VP level, that there's a lot to be said there, and no wonder it's a challenge, and no wonder it's becoming a bit of a revolving door, because there are so many different skill sets involved. And so even those terms, contemporary marketers, you and I have started kind of using that more often. I think it says a lot about kind of where things are going. That this is not going to be a destination that you reach and then finally you can relax. It's going to keep changing.
No, that's a great point. I often say we are in a race that has no finish line.
It really doesn't. Yeah.
And again, you can look at that as the end, or you can look at that as, oh my gosh, what an opportunity. In healthcare especially, we've talked about transition, and it's a overused word, but we are looking at a business model that is dismantling and rebuilding itself. It's sort of the analogy of the Blockbuster board of directors sitting around the table saying, hey, the way we're going to compete with Netflix and Redbox is build more stores. Well, no. That model dismantled itself, and we have to think about healthcare evolving and the ideas of multiple choice, the ideas of consumers having more and more accountability, both financially and otherwise, about their own care. I read a story recently that said that the millennial population actually believes that their physical health is a social responsibility, that they owe that to the community. And putting billboards with doctors with white coats and stethoscopes aren't going to appeal to that population. We have to think about, as marketers and with the use of technology, how do we meet people where they are, wherever they are along that journey. That's, to me, is going to be a real important aspect of how the contemporary marketer sees him or herself.